You ever wonder why prospects start looking at their phones 5 minutes into the meeting? Now, this one is interesting because just someone asking this question is actually a positive from a seller perspective, because a lot of sellers don't even see this, right? I've gotten the opportunity to kind of observe sales calls or even recorded sales calls, and it's amazing that some sellers have lost the audience and they have no idea they've lost the audience. So just the fact that you're aware enough to ask this question, that's a positive. So the first thing is, making sure that you fully understand kind of what's going on with the audience to be able to say, have you lost them or have you not? The other part of this too is that if I heard this question, part of what I'd be thinking is, were there multiple kind of prospects in the room, right? So did you have multiple buyers? Because it could be that maybe it's not the entire room. Maybe it's just one person in the room, and the who matters, right? Because imagine it's a group of operations folks and there's one leader, and the one leader is the one on their phones within 5 minutes, even though the ops people are checked in and really engaged. That's a big problem, because in the end, that leader is likely the one that's going to say yes. So who is checked out matters. But let's talk about just in general the idea of mentally checking out and this 5 minutes. So the 5 minutes is really the critical thing, because it shows how you start a meeting and what are you leading with. And this is the real root of this issue. So even though it's easy to blame the buyer that says, man, they're so rude, they're on their phones, they're not paying attention, like this show is incredible, what's their problem? The reality is the content that you're providing and the order that you're providing it in, that is the issue. And so from a first 5 minutes perspective, I think the biggest issue that I see in so many companies in pretty much every single industry is the feeling of being able to demonstrate worthiness. All right. So where people go wrong is they focus on, we need to show that we are worthy. We being the seller, the sales organization, right? So that is the focus, to be able to say in the first 5 minutes, we have to show we're worthy of their business and their spend. And so how do you show worthiness? Well, worthiness is you're going to want to show your accolades. You're going to want to show your customers. You're going to want to show your coverage, right? So you're trying to build the case that says you are an important prospect, hopefully a customer, and we want to show that we're worthy of your business and your partnership. So I understand why you want to do that. And there is a time and place for showing worthiness, but in the first 5 minutes of a conversation, this is absolutely not the time for that. All right. Where you want to start the conversation is you want to think about relevance. Okay. And it's something that I don't think a lot of sellers think about, because they're so obsessed with, we got to show we're worthy. We got to show we're a big enough brand, that we have enough coverage, that we have enough expertise, et cetera. Otherwise, they're not going to consider us. We'll get eliminated too quickly. But a better kind of anchor is relevance, because from a buyer perspective, it's the easiest way to mentally check out. So what's happening in the buyer's mind is when they start looking at their phone, what they've determined in that 5 minutes is, this is not relevant to me. And as soon as something is irrelevant, you tune out. That's just what we do as human beings. And so one of the very first tests that a buyer is doing is to say, this subject, this talk track, is any of this relevant to me? And if not, I am going to tune out. That's why worthiness doesn't capture attention, because it's just, it comes across as insecure, where I don't believe in myself, I don't believe in my company, and therefore I need to throw all these accolades and all this proof and front load it to try to convince you that I am worthy of your business. Where if you start the conversation to say, hey, let's make sure in the first 5 minutes that this person knows this conversation is 100% relevant to them, they are going to be much more engaged and not kind of checking out, because they'll say, yeah, like I love this. This is exactly what I want to talk about. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what I'm frustrated by. So the ability to nail relevance in the first 5 minutes, that's what helps you connect with buyers. Yet time and time again, people keep dragging back to this. And I don't know if it's just kind of habit and best practices that people just say, we have to start by proving this. But that ability to really think about, what is this buyer's world? What's relevant to them? What's top of mind? What are they struggling with? The more that you can kind of anchor yourself in this world in that first 5 minutes, that is the key to success. And I can tell you the best sellers on the planet that I've seen, they do this instinctively. They don't even think about it. Like they just absolutely anchor the conversation in 100% relevance to the buyer. And then later they'll sneak in some worthiness to show, yeah, we're a good partner and we have all that. But they don't have that insecurity where they feel like they need to kind of start right here. They start from a place of confidence and relevance. And that's why they're the best.